Hello everyone and welcome to the ADOM role-playing game character creation video. We briefly spoke about this last time when we had a look at the books, but now we want to go into a bit more mechanically details when it comes to the character creation. Unfortunately, half of our classes are still missing by this point, and the character sheet is still very basic and missing a lot of core information like skill table or spells, so we have to improvise a bit. Just like in the computer game, we are going to start by rolling a star sign. So most commoners do not get any benefits from being born under a certain sign. This is only for heroes who have a bright destiny in front of them, at least up until their untimely demise in some dark corners of a dungeon. I rolled a 9, which gives me the star sign of the cup. This stands for collected knowledge, experience and camaraderie. So I get a bit more experience than anyone else, I get an extra skill point, which is very nice, and advantage to charisma checks during celebrations and festivities, of which there will be many, because you know, bright future. After entering my birth sign, I will begin rolling stats. For this, I roll 7 times 4d6 and always dropping the lowest roll. So in this case, you know, there's a 1 which gets dropped, which leaves 14. I note this down and roll again, another 14, a 13, another 14, a 9, one more 9, and a 13. These are pretty good stats, definitely above average. So the average commoner in Arcadia has statistics ranging between 9 and 12, so this is definitely hero material that we're having here. I am picking a race and I want to play a high elf. Then I take the attributes I rolled and distribute them to the stats I want them in. Before I write them down on my character sheet, I am going to check for the racial modifiers. So as a high elf, I get a bit of intelligence, some wisdom, a lot of dex. I am also very frail, so I lose constitution. High elves are also very haughty and very reclusive, so I lose some charisma as people don't like them very much. But hey, at least I'm pretty and get a +2 appearance. I note down those modifiers and calculate the final scores and then add them to my sheet. If you're familiar with OSR games, you've probably seen most of these already. So strength is important for carrying things around and hitting people in combat. Intelligence is your problem-solving skills and your lore. Wisdom is your intuition. Dexterity is important to hit people with ranged weaponry and act first in combat. Constitution is really important for your health. Charisma is how well you can keep the loyalty and hire retainers. Because most character classes later on get apprentices or retainers, so charisma is also very important for the more frontline characters. And finally we have appearance, which is important for the first very important for the first impression you are going to make on other characters. After I write down my stats, I also going to add the modifiers to them. Now, if you're familiar with D&D or OSR games, these should be no problem for you. If not, you basically subtract 12 from the stat you rolled and enter there, and then half the rest. This is your positive or negative modifier that you're going to add or subtract from a d20 roll when checking for skills. So I want to play a bit more melee-focused characters. You can probably see from the distribution I did. I want to play a barbarian. This is not only because this is one of the classes we already have done, this is also because I really like the idea of having a slender, high elven barbarian running around, swinging her short sword or her long sword, and just killing things by being awesome. So I have a look at the barbarian class. We have a prime attribute here, which is really, really important, and a lot of other things that we get, but we're starting with a prime attribute here, which is strength. My strength is 14. This gives me a bonus to the experience I'm getting, because it's a very high stat. I'm also getting a bonus for experience because I'm born under the sign of the cup. You know, remember, this gives me 5% experience. Now, if I would like to play another class or multi-class my character, you know, like being a weaponsmith, I would then check the primary attribute for this one and also calculate my experience bonus from that, then subtract 10 from it. So I can combine up to 10 or up to 3 different classes which makes it quite cool. However, for now, we want to stay pure barbarian. So we also unfortunately have to subtract 15% from this experience because we're high elves, and high elves are just better at anything, so leaving us at minus 5%. So anytime we gain experience, we have to throw 5% of those away because we're so awesome as a high elf. So now we are going to see what kind of skills we're going to start our adventuring life with. So to do this, we first of all write down the favored skills of our class, of all of our classes. So for the barbarian, it's common skills, athletic, martial skills, and outdoor categories, which are favored, which means that skills we purchase in these categories are cheaper than normal skills. However, before we distribute skill points, I personally prefer to narrow down the image of the character in my head. So, which means that she gets a name, I will call her Silra, and she is a neutral good high elf barbarian. She doesn't care very much about the war between law and chaos, but she has a good heart. Roaming the wilderness, I can see kind of a dexterous hunter in front of me. So this is kind of the image I want to recreate with the skills. First of all, we're going to look at how many skill points I have. To do this, we simply add the modifiers for intelligence, wisdom, charisma, and appearance together. So in this case, 4. This is the amount of skill points I have to distribute and to purchase skills with. So skills come in 5 different levels. Untrained, these are skills that you haven't put any points in. Trained, focused, specialized, and mastered. As a barbarian, we already start with being trained in all weapon skills, as well as the light and medium armor. As a high elf, I get to distribute 2 skill points, 1 into singing and 1 into dancing. Could have taken artistry as well, but really, this is all about the festives, because we are the star sign of the cup and we want to celebrate and look good while doing so. As a high elf, I also get to put a point into short sword, long sword, or long bow. So since I'm trained already in all weapon skills, just adding a point to longsword makes me focused already in this skill, which is pretty cool for a beginning warrior, for free. So weapons don't deal damage on their own. The damage you deal with a weapon is based on the weapon's skill. So the higher the skill, the more damage you deal with a weapon. So being focused is already very, very nice. So because I said Silra is a hunter, I am adding a point to hunting and a point to longbow. I would also love to master my longsword. Because, as you know, the higher, the more damage it deals. Unfortunately, this is not allowed because to master the martial skills, you need to have a certain base attack bonus. The base attack bonus of a first level fighter or barbarian is 1. This rises with your level. So I can only specialize and master this weapon at higher levels. Instead, I am going to invest a skill point into being able to build fires, which is going to come in useful for a high elf barbarian living in the wilderness, and also learn a weapon style, specifically a single weapon style, which meaning holding a weapon in only one hand and using no shield will provide me with additional boni. All these skills are on my favored skill list, which means they cost 1 skill point to level to the next level, no matter how high it is. For skills not on my favored list, this will cost 2 skill points per level. It's as simple as that. So the next step is distributing your saving throws and ranking them. So saving throws are rolls that get called for when you want to escape sticky situations or avoid negative effects. Fortitude is about resisting poison and physical exhaustion. Reflex saving throws are important when you're trying to dodge arrow traps or fireballs. And willpower is really important to refuse being charmed. Every character gets to freely distribute the ranks to them. So 1, 2, or 3. The first rank is 8. The second one is a 6, and the third ranked saving throw is a 4. These will grow over time. As you level up. You also get to add your appropriate modifiers to them. So for fortitude, it's your constitution, reflex, gets stacks added to it, and wisdom gets to your willpower save. This is the final result then, and again, as you level up, these will continue to grow. So it looks like Silra is very agile and a bit headstrong, but not very good at the physical side of things, even though she's a tribal barbarian. The last thing to do then is to look for the hit points. As you can see, we have 2 hit dice, one for the race and one for the class. Each roll adds the constitution modifier to them. It can't be lower than 1. And then you have your final hit points. We end up with a respectable 16 hit points, which is quite good for a first level character. We don't care about power points because we're not a caster class. If it had been done, she might have been a barbarian healer or barbarian priest. In which case, her high elven speciality of getting another power point per level would have come into play, but as a barbarian, we don't need this fancy magic stuff. We also have no corruption, because we're not a Chaos Knight, which is the only class which starts with corruption already. And that's it. That's Silra, the neutral good barbarian huntress. We hope that you liked what you saw, and please comment, please follow us, please make sure that we reach those last stretch goals before the campaign ends in 5 days. And, well, thank you very much for listening and for backing us. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them, either here, under the video, or on our Kickstarter page.